Hey everyone, welcome to Mullers on the Move. We are a traveling healthcare family, homeschooling our 3 kids along the way. I'm Paige. I'm a nurse practitioner turned side hustling homeschooling mom. And usually my co-host would be my husband Blake, who is the traveling CRNA. But today I have an extra special guest. This is my dad, Gerry Pedersen.
Hello, everybody.
He is a CRNA. It is all in the family. He met my mom in
Anesthesia School at Charity Hospital School of Nurse Anesthesia back in 1983.
And then you actually knew Blake before I did.
Yes, he was one of the students that came through our sites that we had the privilege of educating him in the techniques of anesthesia.
You taught him everything he knows.
That's what I say.
That's what I've heard.
Now he said Phyllis taught him everything that he knows. I like to say I taught him every clinical thing he knows.
Yes. And so we are actually in Grand Isle, Louisiana at your fishing camp, which Blake has come to many times even before I knew him. If you are unfamiliar of where Grand Isle is, we at the bottom of the boot. Like when you're looking at a boot, you at the bottom. You can't go nowhere else.
We are at the tip of the Gulf of Mexico. It's right across the street. So it's a great place to have a fishing camp. We do a lot of great fishing here.
Which we did today.
We both went.
The best fishing day?
No, we had a few people decided that it was a great time chumming for the fish.
They needed your CRNA skills with little Zofran.
Yeah, they were chumming for us. They were helping us catch some fish.
Yes, so we went about 30 miles offshore today. It was not the best weather. It was a little choppy, but we did catch some red snapper. And so it was a fun little day. So Blake is having complete FOMO over not being here.
And we're not really missing him.
No. One, because he's not at the vision camp. And two, he really wishes he was here for this interview.
We miss him too.
So it is about to be hunting season, which is why I am here. Because I needed a recharge before not only homeschooling, stay-at-home mom, but then I become like single mom life for the next 6 months, which is why I booked Jude and I a trip to Disney in January, because then it gives me something to look forward to survive the hunting season.
That's right.
All right, so tell us your background, your journey through anesthesia, and what you're doing now.
So I decided in high school that I was going to become a male nurse.
A nurse? A nurse? I mean?
Yes. I went to an all-boys high school, and one day this one of the local nursing schools shows up. This guy's there, and he's got a couple of cute girls there. I'm like, I'm going to talk to him. So anyways, he was telling me about nursing and stuff. Then he told me about anesthesia, and I said, ooh, tell me about that. So I went home. My aunt was a nurse. I talked to her, and so I began my journey. I went to Charity Hospital School of Nurse Anesthesia, which was a 3-year program for nursing. You got out with a diploma. And then I worked at Charity Hospital for a couple of years and then entered the nurse anesthesia program, which also at that time was a diploma course. Most of the schools at that time were diploma, but they were gradually working towards getting out with a MS, and then now you get out with a doctorate of nurse anesthesia.
So what did mom graduate with initially? Was she a diploma?
She was a diploma, correct.
Okay.
And she went back and got her degrees and worked her way up to the doctorate, where she became a program director for a nurse anesthesia program in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
So before you finish all your credentials and what you're doing now, that is one of my questions. How do you feel anesthesia is going to change or not with the fact that they're requiring DNPs, but you have literally excelled and exceeded in your career as a diploma?
It's just the change of the times. I believe that education is key for anything, and that when I graduated, it really wasn't a requirement. And then as I got older and we were raising children, and I just felt that I didn't need to go back and get my BS.
The credentials. Right. You're essentially were just getting credentials.
Phyllis went back because she was going in the education route, teaching. And so she actually needed those in order to advance herself, in order to advance the programs that she started. So I'm one of the last few breeds, I guess. That's
You're literally the only person with a diploma.
So my son once told me, "You don't even have a degree." I said, "Well, I got 2 diplomas. You don't have anything yet, you know." So it's it is what you make it out to be, and so I just worked hard at what I did, and took every chance I could in order to advance myself within the career and profession.
Which I guess for people who don't know, if you're teaching in nursing, so if you're going to teach an ASN program, which is an associate program, you had to have your bachelor's. And if you were going to teach a bachelor program, you had to have your master's. And then mom was teaching a master's program, so she had to have her doctorate, which is why she went back
Right.
to get all the extra credentials because she was the director.
Right. And now
of the
she,
program.
and then when she left, it was a doctor of nurse practitioner,
Right.
which she had also. And so that she used that to advance that program.
Which I guess as a NP, I have my master's, and now they are transitioning most of the programs to a doctorate.
Yes.
I will not. I should never say never.
No, never say never.
I
But
do not ever plan on going back to get my doctorate.
if you're able to practice at the extent of your education, then there's no. I'm not saying there's no reason not to, but if it takes away from your family time, which is why I never went back,
Yeah.
because one of us had to help out with the kids and not do the educational route, and so Phyllis and I both worked together raising children, but I just didn't feel that I needed to spend time working than I needed to go spend my time being in the classroom.
Well, and at the bottom line is it doesn't change your skill
No,
level
it does not.
in the operating room to practice anesthesia.
No, it does not.
Okay, so now tell us, you're a partner.
About 20 years ago, I joined up with my partners, John Sykes and Jeff LeBlanc at that time. I had connections in Baton Rouge. They had the personnel in order to help take over contracts. We were contacted by some surgery centers to provide anesthesia because they were losing their their providers at the time. And so over the years, we've had built up our company. We're in 11 sites around the Baton Rouge area. We've got 2 sites in the Atlanta area and 2 in the Charleston area. And so my job over the years has been a chief anesthetist at one of our facilities. And then I was also chief marketing. And as we expanded and I needed to do more marketing, I was finding myself away from the chief role. So I felt at that time it was better for me to transition into full-time marketing, but continue to do my skills, but not as a chief. So I still work in the operating room, but also do the marketing, help with marketing for our company, DPI Anesthesia.
And you travel to all the sites.
I travel to Atlanta and Charleston, and mainly work in Baton Rouge, but I go visit our sites, talk to our CRNAs, our MDs, our co-workers, and see if there's any issues or what can we help with. We meet with administration when we can to see what we can do there. So we try to keep our hands in. No matter how much we grow, we just feel that we need to be accessible to everyone and not just walk away from, oh, we're getting big and I don't need to talk to you anymore. So
you're literally boots on the ground.
I'm boots on the ground. I love being boots on the ground. Yes, I love.
People ask me all the time, when are you going to retire? Is he going to get out of the operating room? I'm like, he would not know what to do with himself. No.
Probably will get out of the operating room when I reach the age of 70. But then I will keep my hands in the marketing aspect of the business because I do like to visit with people and enjoy spending time with our coworkers.
And then you also do.
We have
education.
We have an educational service, CNH educational system that we purchased that from a couple that had it for many years, and their sites were in Sonoma in January, and then in French Quarter Festival in New Orleans in April. We transitioned away from the facility in Sonoma and have transitioned over to Charleston in conjunction with a Darius Rucker Riverfront Festival
all right, now.
concert going on for that same weekend.
Okay.
So we're doing that.
So Blake and I did the Sonoma one, and Blake spoke at your conference.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time we.
Yeah, it's a
head on
CRNA.
over to the other.
Yeah, it's a CRNA only
Other coast.
conference. The CRNA owned conference, and the CRNAs are the only ones that usually come. We have CRNAs that lecture and
And then the wives tag along to
And
enjoy the
sometimes the wives
festivities.
come along, yes, and enjoy the time that wherever we are.
So, as I guess, am I a millennial? I might be Gen, whatever it is. Anyway, I do all my CEs online. All of them. Oh, I lied.
No, it's
I
okay.
went to a conference when I had the Botox business.
Mhm.
I went to an aesthetic conference and I did that. Do you find my generation and younger, I mean, I'm mid 30s now, so there's definitely a lot of working CRNAs younger than me. Do you find my generation and younger are transitioning more into the online educational courses versus going to in person stuff? And in turn, how does that affect your business?
So we have seen that where there's been a decrease at our conferences, but we have added a virtual attendance. So we videotape the conferences live or stream them live, and we have people that sign up, log in, and watch the conferences during the day.
So they do live one-on-one. Can they access it later on?
We do not do that
Yes.
because our governing board, the ANA, requires that
It's
that
a lot.
if they do watch it later, then we have to submit tests for them to take, and then if they don't complete the test or if they don't get a 80%, then we have to do some more testing on them. So we just feel that that's just too much. So
That is true. When you do the in person, you don't have to do a testing.
Correct.
When I do my online, I
Right.
have to do
but you have to do an assessment
Okay.
of the conference and the speakers.
That
And
makes
that's how
sense.
that goes through. So we do that. We've been doing that at the New Orleans French Quarter Festival, and we'll probably implement that at Charleston next year.
Okay.
We just feel that that's a great service because we are seeing where the younger generation and even some of the older ones
Yeah.
are doing that, so they don't have to travel.
Well, we hate to say the expense of travel is increased, leaving your family, the accessibility of online. I mean, we obviously enjoy sneaking away for a few days.
Yes, that's the best thing. But what I feel is missing when you do that online or um, lectures online where you don't have to really watch, but you can just do read things and take a test. I find that you're not interacting with fellow CRNAs.
100%.
And when I was in school, I was one of the first students from Louisiana that was able to join the State Board of Anesthesia, State Board of Nurse Anesthesia, which I later became involved with, became president. But at that point in time, I met some great CRNAs, and we would go to the conferences a lot. And through that, I got a call when I was doing some locums out of town from a gentleman who I had met back at that point in time. He was past president. And he called me and said, "Hey, I want you back in Louisiana. Can you come work with me?" And that gave me the opportunity to come back to Louisiana and then join up with my partners, John and Jeff. And now we have a physician partner, Scott Gardner, to grow that business, and which was a phenomenal thing. But if I had never met Frank back in 1984, I would not be where I am today because I'd still be doing locums around. So
Yeah, it was like the original Facebook. You had to actually go in
you actually
person.
had to go meet people.
Connect with people.
Hi, I'm
Yeah,
Gerry.
like talk to-
Yes,
Wow.
I try to.
Tell me more.
I'll tell you, it's definitely old time Facebook.
Yeah.
But you got to talk to people.
No.
Oh, it's great.
Wow.
Common interest. Where are you going to work? Where are you going to do this? And so you never know where you're going to be 5 years down the road. And that's the other thing I tell people. You may be disgruntled with your job. And if you haven't had these connections down the road where you can call somebody up and say, "Hey, I hear you got an opening," or "If you have an opening, can you give me a call later on?" Yeah, social media is great with Facebook and stuff, but I don't know you personally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I follow them. We follow each other on Facebook.
They
Do I
like
know
my
you?
photos. They're a good
Hey.
see. That means they're a good person.
Yeah, right. So I like your photo. No, so
You're like, oh, you're on Facebook. I saw you again.
not again. Oh,
Get off of the
That's
Facebook.
right. Oh Lord, we got another Instagram. So, but to me, meeting people, talking to people, we always tell the students when they come through our sites that this is your job interview.
Yeah.
one of your job interviews later. But I mean, if you're good, and then I'm going to offer you a job when you get ready to graduate. If I feel that you're personable, you've got skills, you're willing to work, you're not a complainer, and you're willing to put forth the effort, that's somebody I want to hire.
Well,
And
I do have to say, nursing is unique in that way. Nursing, we do rotations with people at different facilities. So they are able to see our skill set, our personality, our ethic before they get hired.
right.
Because I know you've had some, I'll say it kindly, some mediocre students
Yes.
where y'all judge. You've done this for forever, and Blake did it when he was chief with you, is, can I trust this person to put my daughter, my wife, my son to sleep?
Right.
And if I cannot,
I'm not hiring you.
I'm not hiring you, and you might not even get out of anesthesia school,
That's
unfortunately.
right.
We'll have Mom on to talk about all the lawsuits that
Yeah.
she went through when
Yeah.
that happened.
So
But
yes, and you know, the great thing about us is that we have students that go to multiple sites. So they are looked upon by several different chief CRNAs at these facilities. So when it comes time to, hey, do you have anybody from this class that you think you want to hire?
Yeah.
Somebody say, hey, I worked with Sue, and they're like, yeah, I worked with Sue over at our facility
Yes.
too. She's awesome. She's great. And I wouldn't hire Betty. Betty's, you know, or
That's
David. David's
real quick, do not to hire.
No, I
That's
think it's that way. And it's true across at all our sites, you know. And we've really picked up some very well educated, very well motivated people. The great thing about our business is that we see these people as a student, and then when we hire them, we see how they are in real practice. And then in our company, we bring them to a leadership conference when we realize their potential, and we educate them on leadership, and then we put them on the path to be a chief CRNA in our facilities later on down the road.
Which you did with Blake.
Yes, we did.
And then
Now, that wasn't my, I mean, I didn't,
that was
that was my partners that said, we like him. Now, did I tell him he needed to get off his butt and he needed to work? Yes, I did.
coffee in the
That's
hallway.
right. So yes, but I mean, when he was early on, I said, look, you need to step the game. You need to look at the schedule. You need to see where the surgeries are going the day. You need to move people around. You need to do something, because eventually they may want you to do something. And sure enough, they decided. And I said, look, I'm not voting on this because he is my
Because
son-in-law.
he's your son-in-law.
So you have to decide, if you think he's well enough to move up, then move him up. And they did. And he did a great
He
job
did.
until he left with my daughter.
Then we
and kids.
left.
Yeah. So,
And that was our next question.
yes.
Did you think, as a dad,
Mhm.
as a father-in-law,
Mhm.
as a grandfather,
Mhm.
when we came to you and we said, Blake is going to resign as chief of anesthesia at your hospital with your company.
Mhm.
We're going to sell our very profitable aesthetic business. We're going to take your 3 grandkids, and we're leaving.
First of all,
Bye.
I said, are you nuts? You got a great job here. You got a great thing here. But this was what y'all are doing now is what I really wanted to do in my last years of doing anesthesia.
Yes.
But because I'm a partner in this group, I'm unable to do that because I love working what I'm doing. I love the people I work with. And so I wouldn't do that. But if I was not associated with DPI Anesthesia, then I would be traveling too at this point.
You would
in
have
time.
the flexibility.
Yeah, I would have the flexibility, and I
Yeah.
would do it in a heartbeat. So, you know, when your mother and I talked, we said, go, get out of here. Get out of
Y'all
Louisiana,
did.
go
Y'all
do what
have
you
been
gotta do.
very supportive.
Yeah, so go. I think it's a great thing to do. You get
Yeah.
to see the country. The kids get to experience a lot of different things. So no, we've never been, were we sad that you left? Yes, but we're happy
You
that you're
miss
doing
us
what you wanna
twice
do.
a week eating dinner at your house in full chaos.
No, I miss you drinking all my wine.
But it was same thing. I mean, that is so true. We planned on when we were new grads,
Mhm.
we would travel, but we've said in other episodes,
Right.
God had other plans and we had our sweet babies.
Right.
And then we said, okay, well, when we get older and we're on retirement time, we'll travel. And then we said, well, you know what? Life is real short and we don't know what life will look like then. So before the kids get too settled and we have to do all the things with sports and school, we're
Right.
just going to go. So speaking of you doing locums,
Yeah.
you did it my senior year of high school.
Yes.
Do you remember what you got paid per hour back in, that was 2005 to 2006.
Okay.
So almost 20 years ago.
When I was doing locums, I was probably getting about $75 an hour.
Which,
$75.
I mean, is
Which is
comical.
you wouldn't even roll out of Blake wouldn't even roll
He
out
would
of
not.
bed.
He would literally not answer your phone call.
No.
If you said for 1 minute, I'll pay you $75.
You know, when your mother and I got out of school, I was making my first anesthesia job was $33,000 a year. I made more as a nurse doing overtime and stuff than I did my first year of anesthesia.
$33,000 as an anesthesia provider.
Right, and then Phyllis made.
I mean, granted, you're old, so times are different.
Oh, thanks. So then. And we're cutting this interview off.
Yeah.
So, and then Phyllis made 55. She was a 1099 provider at that time, so she had to pay all her benefits, but she made $55,000 a year. So, you know, it took a while for everything to go up, but it is what it is. Supply and demand has changed the market. And so because of the shortage of anesthesia personnel in both MDs and CRNAs, salaries have really escalated for in the locums market.
Which leads me to the next question. Blake sent me some questions. You know, because he is just, he's dying that he is not.
Yeah.
Okay. So about that and the shortage, what are your thoughts on more AAs in the country and more schools being brought in for that? Do you find AAs beneficial? Do you think they will weed out some of the job potential for CRNAs? Is it irrelevant?
So when you're looking at a company like us, so we have one AA in our whole company.
Where?
In Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
This gentleman was a physician in Russia.
Okay.
And he didn't transfer when he came over here, so he went to AA school. And so, but he's very good. There were 3 other AAs, and we ended up getting rid of them for. They weren't up to what our standards were for providing anesthesia.
Is that lack of skill level or training?
Well, you know, in nurse anesthesia, you've got 3 years of nursing, 4 years of nursing school.
Yeah.
Then you got 2 to 3 years or more of ICU training, patient care, and then you're going to 3 years of nurse anesthesia. Again, patient care. So I think whereas an AA, they can have a degree in biology. Sciences. And then they go to AA program and they're doing anesthesia, but they don't have that patient care ICU experience that CRNAs are getting out with.
Well, I honestly don't think the general public realizes you do nursing throughout school. You have years of clinicals.
Right.
Then to do NP or CRNA, you have to work, depending on what school you go to get your master's now, DNP, you have to work for 2 or 3 years as a nurse before going to school. And then while you're in school, you're doing nursing and clinical and progressing, which I can't say any other degree that would have that, because even physicians, they get their biology or whatever degree, and then they go to med school. So they don't even work bedside. They don't have to. It's not required before they.
No, before they. Right. Correct. So, and the other thing with AAs is that when it comes to a billing perspective, a lot of states say that they have to be a one-on-one situation.
Like, you mean supervised by an
one anesthesiologist? No, CRNAs cannot
supervise AAs. So then you're paying the anesthesiologist to supervise your AA.
They can only do 1 or 2. They can't do more than 2. See, they've CRNAs, they can supervise 4 of us.
I think some places Blake has worked out as more than 4.
Well, some of them they don't. They're not.
Or they're not even supervised.
They're directing.
Yeah.
So it's a difference with the billing situation. So with AAs, they can only be either 1-on-1 or 1 to 2, depending on what state they're in. And so when you come to billing, you have to have a lot more anesthesiologists in order to cover those, and they have to be readily available. With the CRNA, my MD doesn't even have to be there.
But that's not across all the.
No, that's not across all.
It
just depends. Right. It just depends on where you're working and what your facility.
And not even state law. It's mainly your facility.
It's where your facility.
Yeah. Okay. So AAs, you're not for them quite yet?
Well, I'm not. It's not.
They have a place.
They have their place. And in our organization where we do a lot of anesthesia by direction, whether it's all CRNA practice or collaborative practice. We do it because of the financial situations for the facilities we work at, and it's better for us if the CRNAs are directed instead of supervised.
Okay. Which leads to the next question is, as an
they're
owner,
supervised instead of directed, excuse me. So yeah, go
if
ahead.
they're supervised instead of
Right.
direct, which Blake could really get on his pedestal about.
Yeah.
About supervision and direction and who's pushing his drugs. So next question is, how as an owner have y'all dealt with the increase in salaries of CRNAs over the years? Because let's be honest, my generation want to work less for more. Plus inflation. I mean, it's freaking expensive to live. Then you're battling the locums pay versus your full-time's pay plus benefits. You're in multiple states, and the cost of living in those states all vary. So how do y'all combat the increase that everybody wants every year in their salary?
So in anesthesia, most of the contracts that we have, all of them, because of the amount of coverage that most facilities need, there has to be a stipend that the hospital has to help with because the billing just isn't there.
And when you say billing, you mean the reimbursement from the insurance company,
right, and Medicare, Medicaid. So it's decreased over the years, and so for us to provide the service that the facility wants, it's difficult. So we got to get a stipend. So if salaries are increasing like they have over the past few years, if we're able to increase that, we will. Sometimes we have to go back to the facility and say, this is what's happening. And hopefully you can head it off of the past. We've had situations where the facility has been very slow in reimbursing or increasing the stipend, and we've lost CRNAs, and we've had to go back and get that increase and then rehire, which you don't like to do. So you really try to head it off of the past and say, this is what's going on. You have to keep up with the market. There's just no way about it, because you will lose people if you're not keeping up with the market. So that's what we've done.
Well, I have to say, just from watching you as an owner and being the wife of a CRNA who worked for you, I feel like DPI, which is Diversified Professional Incorporated, has done a very good job of benefit packages, time off, shift flexibility, which is one of Blake's biggest things, independent practice, especially in Louisiana, where y'all work them to their fullest degree.
We do that everywhere.
And that is very much appreciated by, I would say, every employee that y'all have.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay. So we are recording this during halftime, which is over. And we have got to get back to the LSU game. So we have one more question that Blake sent. And he said, why is Blake such a better anesthetist than you? That was his hot topic question. Which I'm surprised it didn't say, why is Blake so much better looking than you? You know, you never know what he's going to throw us. Because you taught him everything.
Because I taught him everything he knows. Lord, he is. Never mind. I'm not. He is the best.
Dad, he does such good anesthesia.
Oh, he's awesome. That's because his mother-in-law taught him the didactic part. I just told him how to do it.
It's because he loved research. So.
Oh yeah, where he got his only B.
All right, we are headed back to watch the Tigers play. Go Tigers! Thank y'all for tuning in. I will drop DPI's links in the show notes to send you to their website.
Conference opportunities are at CNH Educational Systems.
Okay, I will put those in the show notes as well. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter, and those links will be in there too. Go Tigers!
Go Tigers. Thank you.